everyone, it's Vanessa, V. Welcome to my channel where we discuss reigning over your life, conquering what's holding you back, and living life in victory each day using simplified strategies that work for you. Today, we're going to discuss a key major factor for me in my daily controlling of my stress and anxiety. I've used it for years, and it's one of my top stress hacks that I share at my workshops because it really does help in all sorts of situations, just like all the other stress hacks do, but this one is something that helps me live my life to the fullest. And one of the great things about it is that I think it's kind of perfect for the crazy times that we're in right now because it's a stress hack that doesn't involve touching ourselves or touching other things. So it's something that you'll be able to use at home, but also in public during this quarantine / transition / I don't know what else to call it. So I'm really excited to share it with you today, and we're gonna get to go over it together. And for those of you who don't know, I'm an actress and speaker. I host workshops. I'm living with post-traumatic stress disorder, so a lot of the information that I share has to do with things that I've had to master and discover over these years. And I'm sharing it with you so that you don't have to take years to learn it or discover it. But one thing I'm not, two things I'm not, is a mental health care professional or a healthcare professional. I'm sharing these simplified strategies with you because they've helped me, they've helped so many others, and I hope that they can help you as well. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Okay, let's get to it. Last week, I thought it was really important to talk about beginning to transition out of the quarantine phase into the next phase and how to do that in an approachable way that made that transition as smooth and as comfortable for us as possible. If you haven't seen it, I have posted a link below in the description. Thanks, Mom. She called me last week and was like, I can never find your links. You always say they're below, but they're never on the screen. So for clarification, what I mean by below is below in the description, not on the screen. Sorry. But yes, below in the description is where I will post the link to my previous video about dealing with the transition of reopening and also any other links that I decide to post. So within that video, I talked about my modified step-by-step process of going out of isolation and more into social situations. Because of my PTSD and what caused my PTSD, I have had a lot of experience with isolation of various levels and in different ways. And I've had to figure out how to deal with that, but also how to transition in a way that works for me so that I feel comfortable in that process and moving forward. And in that video, one of the things that we talked about was keeping tabs on ourselves throughout the whole process. And even though that entire step-by-step process I have found to be extremely important, I wanted to expand on the keeping tabs portion of that because it is such a big portion of moving forward. What we're going into and what we're in right now is sort of like a new jungle for us and our brains. And so there's going to be a lot of new triggers and heightened stress that we may not have experienced before. And so to prepare for that in a way that does work for us and make that transition and that situation easier is really, really important because that's going to help ensure that we feel more control just overall, which is really important to our health and happiness. But it's also just going to help that stress and anxiety stay at bay. And even if we do end up feeling it here and there or more than usual, we can at least take comfort in the fact that we prepared for it, we understand what's going on, and we know how to tackle it in ways that work for us. What we want to do is make sure that we keep this streamline of happiness. We don't want to just say, oh, I'll be happy when this is all over. What we want is to be happy throughout the process. Even though there's a lot of negativity going on, that is real, making sure that we are emotionally strong through that process is really going to help ensure that we are much more successful in this time, whatever that means for you. And this stress hack today definitely helps me do that. This is seriously one of my go-to stress hacks. Like, I love it. All right. What's it called? I call it the stop, drop, and roll. And it's just as cool as I just made it look. So let's walk through it. So stop. Why do I literally mean stop? I discovered the stress hack on my own over the years after being diagnosed because I was trying to live my life while I was trying to recover and heal from my post-traumatic stress disorder. And despite all of my searching and yearning and despite everything, I just wasn't finding something that was specific to my needs on a moment-to-moment basis. And I definitely wasn't finding something that I could do while I was out and about in public that didn't call attention to myself. So even though I was practicing patience, as always, in trying to give myself time to recover and heal and move forward in a healthier way, I was still really anxious and excited to live my life, as we all are. So eventually I did start to just trudge ahead, but I needed something that helped me prep for that and helped me while I was out in the world. So I went back to the basics because that was what I knew, and so that was what I had to start with. I sort of had to just evolve it for myself, and I just sort of realized over time that what I needed I had actually found within myself. I knew that based on the brain, by the way, if you haven't seen my brain, if you haven't seen my video about the brain on stress, I have posted a link below in the description. I will be talking about that today. But because I understood at that point the mechanics of the brain under stress and how that was affecting me personally, I leaned on that. And I knew, okay, this is a really uncomfortable situation. I just want to get back to living and being as happy as possible. I knew that my brain on stress was overloaded, right? So when we're being triggered and when we're in situations that our brain, especially that subconscious irrational limbic system part of the brain, when we as a whole are in situations that our brain is deeming dangerous, especially if I'm going into a new situation, like a lot of us are with this transition, a situation that makes us a little uncomfortable, whatever it may be, our brain is getting triggered. And what those triggers can do, especially if we're just going about our day, boom, 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 is our brain is trying to catch up, right? Because it's trying to keep us safe. But there's all these new dangers and unexpected things occurring that we consciously may not be aware of, but we may notice our stress and anxiety rising or panic setting in almost instantaneously, and we think it's out of nowhere, but really it may not be. But if our brain is trying to catch up and catch up and catch up and process all of these things that are going on, and we're not allowing our brain to do that, that can cause these stress and anxiety things that we really want to avoid. So when we stop, it allows our brain to stop knocking and pounding at the door going, hello, there's danger, what are you doing, stop. It allows our brain to go, oh, okay, finally, all right, now I can sort of take everything in. It's more manageable. Things aren't as crazy as they seem. All right, carry on. And in doing that, it helps our neocortex, that rational part of our brain, take over and step in. And so, because of that knowledge, I knew that releasing tension in my muscles also helped activate my brain into more rational thinking and into a calmer state. Because when we're relaxed, our brain isn't getting that trigger that there's danger. It alerts our brain that we're safe. Now, when we drop, there should be a physical sense of releasing that tension, releasing our muscles. It doesn't need to go like this, but when we're in that sensation of releasing tension, if we're upright like this and we're feeling stress and anxiety and we release that tension, it can be as small as this. My fingers are limp, my arms are limp. I do have a bit of a relaxation in my posture, which you don't want to keep. But for this stress hack, it can be really helpful. And when you're doing this step, what you can expect to feel is a sense of calm. You might feel more present in your space. You might feel a little bit more grounded. That stress and anxiety or panic is slowing down and releasing. This kind of, for me, is where that magic happens, and I feel most like myself. I feel the most rebalanced. And then the last step, 3, roll. Only once you've found that place, that atmosphere of calm and groundedness, is it best to then start moving forward and getting back into living again. We want to take this atmosphere with us. We want to pull it with us so that we're living in this state of calm and balance. We don't want to just jump right back in and get back to it. because that's only going to cause our brain to get triggered again. It is really important to wait and not rush it. What happens when we rush this whole process is it's just triggering our brain that we're unsafe. So it's going to take longer. All right, let's do it together. Now you can have your eyes shut or open depending on what you need. I tend to find that it is a little bit more helpful and faster if my eyes are shut. But if you're in public and that's not possible for you, just keep your eyes open, it's okay. If you're sitting or standing, doesn't matter, just kind of move around a little bit. I know most of you probably aren't doing this, but for those of you who are, great job and thank you. All right, so we're gonna just stop. So we're gonna stop moving and we're gonna focus on dropping that muscle tension. So go ahead and try to do that. And for some reason, I always just naturally inhale and exhale there. You can feel free to do that. That certainly can help. But feel free to just do whatever you need to do to release that tension. Do whatever stress hacks. Reassuring ourselves that we are safe if we are in fact safe. And once you've gotten to that space, I'm not trying to rush us, but once you've found that sort of calmer, more grounded state, then all right, I'm gonna get my posture back and I'm gonna continue moving forward, feeling that calm and bringing that calm with me. In summary, 1, stop. Stop doing, stop moving. 2, drop. Release muscle tension. And 3, roll. Get back to living. If this sounds familiar, you may recall in one of my previous videos, which I'll post below, The Brain Explained, we sort of talk about doing this in a much more thoughtful way. It's more investigative, and that is super important to do, truly. What's great about this is it's sort of a more modified, simplified, snappy version where all we have to do is these 3 steps. There's not a lot of thought. Now, if you do decide then afterwards to go, okay, what triggered me? What made me stressed? What happened? That's super important. But in a pinch, if this is all you can do, it can be a great option. The great thing that I found about the stress hack is that it actually helps to sort of train my brain to do this on its own. So I actually don't need it as much as I used to. It trained my brain to do it faster. So I get the effects much quicker and then it's not as intrusive. It's less intrusive than stress and anxiety, but I understand doing stress hacks still can feel intrusive because you don't want to have to do them at all. But if you find that you do have to, like me, then you want to make them as less intrusive as possible.
Wait. We need to stop and go back to what I just saw. There she is. Ain't she a beaut?
And the more you do them, the faster they work. And I've done it so much that it actually just takes me a matter of seconds. So it's just stop, drop, and roll. And I'm good. Ta-da! Is it ta-da or to-da? To-da? Ta-da? To-da? As you go about your day, one thing you might find that I found is that you get distracted, right? So you do the stop, drop, and roll, or you do other stress hacks, and then suddenly you find yourself, an hour later feeling stressed again, and then I gotta do it all over again. And that's okay. We are gonna get distracted, and other triggers are gonna come up that are gonna snap that stress and anxiety back into play. But remember, it's okay because you have solutions that work for you. If we keep resetting back to rational thinking, it's gonna help us. Even if our stress and anxiety goes up, we stop, drop, and roll. And then if our stress and anxiety goes up again, we stop, drop, and go.
By the way, just really quickly, I wanted to say that if you are in public or around people and you feel the need to do this stop, drop, and roll, you can modify it for any situation that you're in. And there's 2 main ways that I usually do that. One is I mainly focus on releasing tension in my body, and that's my number 1 focus. And the other thing is weaving that into whatever activity is that I am doing. That way I don't draw a lot of attention to myself and I don't feel super rushed.
Again, what's great about this is it trains your brain to go, okay, it's cool to live like this. I can chill and keep chill. You can use it as often as you need to. You can lean on it. You can do it anywhere, anytime. It helps you get a gauge on your stress and anxiety and what's triggering it, and therefore how to fix it and feel freer. It helps you get back to feeling more like you. And this one, which I didn't know, it's actually a form of meditation, which I hate meditating. I'm not saying don't do it. It is really important. There are studies out there that show that meditation can have an actually real impact on the health of your brain and your emotional self, but it's just not something I enjoy doing. So if you also don't like meditating or don't think you have time to meditate, this is a super option. And most of all, this is gonna help us continue to keep tabs on our stress and anxiety. It's gonna help that transition be smoother. It's gonna help us live happier. And it's something that you can lean on now and moving forward, like forever. For those of us that are out there that are constantly struggling and searching for help and ways to overcome what's holding us back, my process in discovering this stress hack is the perfect example of why we should never give up. Because if I had just been like, well, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to live my life, I'm just gonna stay inside and let it overtake me. I totally understand that thinking. Absolutely. And that's okay to do that sometimes. But I'm so glad that I did not allow that to be something that took me over and kept me down and kept me hidden and forced me to not be the best I could be. God knows, literally, it's a struggle. It's been uncomfortable, sad, angering, confusing, and lonely, and completely defeating. And I don't want that for anybody. There are answers out there, and I had to fight to find them. And I'm hoping by sharing these videos, you don't have to fight so hard. So my quick little message to all of you who are out there that have been in the space where I was, keep fighting. Don't give up. Make it work for you. Make living work for you. That is it. Thank you for watching, and I truly, truly hope that this information helps you just like it has truly changed my life. Like or dislike this video, it's cool either way, and subscribe to my channel so you don't have to go looking for my videos, and follow me on social media. Remember, this week is gonna be a stellar week for you. Create your own calm, and I'll see you next time.